Nobody wins when the family feels.
Now, police are investigating a deadly shooting in East Columbus that happened early this morning. Police say they found the man on Sterling Lane near Stelzer Road, suffering from a gunshot wound, and he died shortly after.
Every time you look up, there's a dead body in your backyard or laying on your side of your porch. This is Columbus, Ohio. They shot my car up.
And sad for his community.
I thought we got away from this. We had a good day yesterday, you know, fishing, you know, then come home to this. Come to me, in like matter of seconds. Heard like 5 shots. Look out the window, guy's laying there. I run out, try to revive him.
A 10 TV was on the scene of an arrest by SWAT officers. You can see them taking 25-year-old Keith Coleman into custody. This has happened on South Richardson Avenue in the Hilltop. He was charged with murder in a shooting back in July on Sterling Lane.
Fam, when somebody say revenge don't got no date on it, this story a prime example of that. Now, fam, before we go any further, I want to ask you a question. Let alone shot you in the face. But if somebody shoot you and they get away and you still living, what would you do? Today, we talk about a man who decided to get revenge in his own hands. Waited 7 months for the perfect opportunity to kill the man who shot him in the face. Today, we go over his story. See what happened, see where this happened, the victim and the suspect, and see where we at today. But before we go over this one, I want you guys to remember, I don't give you no angle. I just give you the story. So with that being said, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We'll jump right to it. Today we're going to Columbus, Ohio, about 2 hours away from Cleveland, Ohio. But just 3 weeks ago, a Ohio man was sentenced to decades in prison for avenging his own shooting 7 months later. But in order for us to find out how we got to this point, fam, I gotta take it back 2 years ago, January of 2022, and head to an apartment called Eastside Apartment Complex in Columbus, Ohio, where a 32-year-old man who went by the name of Harry Moore Jr. had shot Keith Coleman Jr. in the face inside their neighborhood. But Keith Coleman had survived, and he lied to police and did not cooperate in the investigation. But detectives were able to collect shell casings from the scene, according to prosecutors. And that was key, because shortly after midnight on July 3rd, 2022, Keith Coleman had laid in wait for Moore at the same apartment complex. Prosecutors said Coleman shot Moore in the face and back. Moore was able to fire 1 round back, and the ballistic testing matched the bullet casing to the January 2022 shooting where Coleman was hurt.
Now, police are investigating a deadly shooting in East Columbus that happened early this morning. Police say they found the man on Sterling Lane near Stelzer Road, suffering from a gunshot wound, and he died shortly after arriving at the hospital. 10 TV's Kiana Deiches talked to neighbors who were there when it happened.
Police say the man shot and killed is 32-year-old Henry Moore Jr. I spoke to neighbors who knew him, but they say the worst part about this is what happened here this morning is something they see far too often.
Every time you look up, there's a dead body in your backyard or laying on your side of your porch. This is Columbus, Ohio.
With bullet holes, busted windows, and shards of glass in Sterling Apartments, Brian Stewart is
I'm tired of this.
Tired of the violence, coping with the aftermath.
They shot my car up.
And sad for his community.
I thought we got away from this. We had a good day yesterday, you know, fishing, you know, then come home to this.
On Sunday morning, there was a shooting in his neighborhood. This time, his dog heard it first.
Zeus heard it, come to me, in like matter of seconds. Heard like 5 shots. Look out the window, guy's laying there. I run out, try to revive him.
Police say the victim, Henry Moore Jr., was shot just before 12:30 in the morning. He was taken to Grant Medical Center, where he died. Stewart says gun violence is shattering this community in more ways than one.
I'm on a fixed income. I have to come out the pocket. That's not fair. It's not fair to citizens that we have to take this stuff over somebody's stupid decisions. Now this person or these people are never going to see the light of day.
His plea to people committing the crimes.
Y'all put these guns down. That's it. Put these guns down.
This is the 65th homicide in Columbus this year, and police are still looking for the person who did this. Reporting in East Columbus, Kiana Deiches, 10 TV News.
Now, Coleman didn't get arrested until 3 months later on October 13, 2022. And it wouldn't be until after he get arrested until the public was able to find out how he was able to get up with the guy who shot him in the face 7 months later and kill him.
Today, 10 TV was on the scene of an arrest by SWAT officers. You can see them taking 25-year-old Keith Coleman into custody. This has happened on South Richardson Avenue in the Hilltop. He was charged with murder in a shooting back in July on Sterling Lane. 32-year-old Henry Moore Jr. died in that shooting. Coleman is scheduled to be arraigned tomorrow morning.
Here's where we find out that detectives was able to get Keith's cell phone records and his online account. He was also pulled over a month after the shooting, August 24th, 2022, where apparently he was pulled over with some narcotics and a firearm. But that wasn't important to this case. The prosecutors wanted to point out that the vehicle that he was pulled over in was the same vehicle that was used the night of the murder. Now, Keith wanted to take it to trial, and one of the evidence that the prosecutors used was Columbus Police Detective Sean Taylor, who's an expert in digital forensics. And he was able to do a phone extraction to Keith's phone, and this is what they found. The phone and its contents will show that the defendant read an article about the murder at 3:24 a.m. the very same morning of the murder, and then later that same morning started checking the municipal court website and the common plea website for its own cases. According to prosecutors, they believe he was checking to see if he had any cases against him. And apparently, they from the same neighborhood, but it got divided between the older generation and the younger generation. Keith was a part of the younger, Moore was a part of the older. And in January of 2022, Keith had talked back to Moore, and Moore had shot him in the face instantly. And of course, if Keith would have talked to the police, the neighborhood would have knew about it and said something. And after 3 months, Keith's face had healed up, but he still smiled at Moore's face and kept it cordial about 10 times before he popped him. In the neighborhood, he knew what he was going to do, but he wanted to find the perfect opportunity. Now, it's important to know this. According to prosecutors, the car that they used had 2 people. And they can't prove whether Keith was the driver or the passenger. But Keith kept it solid once again, and only he was taking the trial. Fast forward to September 23rd, 2024, Keith was 27 years old, and he was found guilty on 1 aggravated murder and 2 murder charges. Not to mention having a switch. A month later, November 20th, 2024, Keith was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole until after 35 years. And to think all this started because of neighborhood beef and pride. It's a very unfortunate situation. 2 men lost their life because this was all they knew. 1 dead and 1 to the system. Send 11 prayers to both of their families. Fam, this was the story of an Ohio man who decided to get revenge, and the man who shot him in the face. 7 months later, he shot that same man in that same place in the face and back. Ultimately, he paid the price, life in prison. Let me know how you guys feel about this one in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until then, I'll catch you guys on the next one.